Ooh, suddenly soundtracks are here to provide you. Suddenly soundtracks will show you care. Oh, be more the soundtrack inside you with sweet understanding. Oh, with sweet understanding. With sweet understanding. Soundtracks are your friend. Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of Suddenly Soundtracks, the show where we dissect a movie musical song by song and judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides. The show is super simple. We go through each song on a soundtrack and rate each song, either rockin', download the track, one-time listen, skip it, or burn the master tape. Then after doing so, we go through the song list and rank each song from worst to best. I am graced with my presence by our first returning guest to Suddenly Soundtracks, very special guest indeed, Miss Vanessa Fitzsimmons from Late to the Party. Hi Vanessa, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, and yes, I can do stuff without Robert.
Indeed. Robin and Vanessa are great friends of the channel, great friends of mine. You know them from Late to the Party. They've been on the Schmodown. They do reactions. They are fantastic. Before we get into 2004 Chicago, Vanessa, when was the first time you saw this movie, and why did you pick it, and why do you love it so much?
Okay, so the first time I watched it, it was actually in theaters. I went to go see it because we went to go see Phantom of the Opera, which was in the same year as well. And then I was in a kick of like musicals that year. So I saw Chicago, and I absolutely love it because I love the timepiece that is in like 1920s. I love all the razzle dazzle, as you will, with the music and then the jazz and then the outfits and everything that came with that era of movie. And so to put all that together with the musical, it was so good. Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. And then just the way that they styled the music in this movie with like talk and singing and a little like risque, it was great.
It's very, very cabaret-ish. It's very cabaret.
Yes.
Like, it intercuts the action of the actual film with a stage show to give you another layer of nuance to the scenes that actually really, really, really help it. And it's very creative with how they did this movie. So without further ado, guys, this is 2004's Chicago.
Winner 6 2002 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Flash of leg, the taste of temptation, the smell of corruption, and things that go bump in the night.
Slick your hair and wear your buckle shoes, and all that jazz I hear.
Velma has it.
I want a brand new start to do that.
Roxy wants it.
You got connections?
I would have said anything to get a piece of that. Get off!
Yes!
Billy can fix it.
My client feels that it was the combination of liquor and jazz which led to her downfall.
But in a city where everyone loves a legend, there's only room for one.
That's Chicago.
Academy Award winner Catherine Zeta-Jones, Academy Award nominee and Golden Globe winner Renee Zellweger, and Golden Globe winner Richard Gere.
Are you guilty or not guilty?
Don't you want to take my picture?
In the Best Picture of the Year.
Good night, folks.
That jazz.
Chicago.
All right, Vanessa, we are going to start right on in with actually the opening number, All That Jazz.
Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town?
You're introduced to Velma, who is singing this song on a stage at this burlesque house. And it's actually just a song being performed for an audience as an opening number. And it sets the movie the way it should be set, because this is a movie / a stage show. It is a stage show mixed with movie assets, and
Yes.
it's appropriate 110%. I'm going to let you go for this, Vanessa. What are your thoughts on All That Jazz by Velma?
I thought that it's a perfect, like you said, perfect start to the movie. It kind of sets the tone as far as what we're going to see in the movie. And I just love Catherine Zeta-Jones and the way that she just embodies Velma in this scene and this song. Really just the way that she sings this song is perfect and dark, a little bit dark and menacing too. And like you said, it just kind of tone. It's the whole thing in this song, and it's very fun and upbeat at the same time. So it gets you going. You're like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Indeed, and actually I love the energy that it brings to the actual movie itself. And I like you also establish with Roxy, she's seeing Velma perform, how she idolizes Velma through the first act of the movie, and it fits this, it establishes everything you need to establish. And it's also intercut with Roxy making out with this guy that she kills later on in a couple of minutes. But before we get to that, I'm going to ask you a solid question here, Vanessa. What do you give this song? Do you give it a rockin', a download the soundtrack, a one-time listen, a skip it, or a burn the master tape? What do you give this song?
I give it a rockin'.
Wow, cool. Yeah. To me, I actually agree with you. Rockin' all the way. I always say the most important things in a musical is whether or not it opens strong and it ends strong. There can be good songs in the middle, but if you have a good clincher and you have a good ender, you at least did a good job. And I give it a rockin'. I will always give a rockin' to an opening number that does its job and does it diligently. All right, then we move on to the second song, Funny Honey.
He loves me so, that funny honey of mine.
Now, the context of this song is very, very crucial to the plot, because you see that you're introduced to her husband, Amos, played by the great John C. Reilly. I didn't expect him to be in this movie, and he is fantastic. So
it's such a weird but awesome casting.
I know. I wouldn't have expected his voice to be the way it was. But you're introduced to him, and he's here covering up for Roxy, who just shot this guy that she was cheating on Amos with. And it's a really creative number, because at first you see that he's lying to the police, and Roxy's singing to her husband, saying how much she respects him for falling on the sword. And then the revelation comes out that she was cheating on him, and you get a mixture of song and talk between John C. Reilly and Roxy, and it's really, really well done. It somehow harmonizes his speaking with her singing, and it's really, really well shot.
I love this song too. It flows very well. I just like the turn in the song, especially when he finds out.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. The song itself is really, really well made and orchestrated and shot and directed. And even listening to it on the soundtrack by itself, I still am mind blown by that ending where he's talking and she's singing to him in rage. And again, I give this a rockin'. This was unexpected. Vanessa, what do you give this?
See, as much as I do enjoy this movie, I wouldn't give it a rockin'. I would actually do a download.
Okay, cool.
Though.
Yeah, I can see that, because maybe the visuals are a bit strong heavy, and when you're judging it solely based on the soundtrack, it kind of loses it with the visuals that you get from the actual film itself. I can see that criticism.
you need to see to get the full power. But if you're just kind of listening to it, you're like, oh, okay. But it's still a good song.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Well, after that song, she is convicted. Well, she's arrested and then convicted of the murder of this guy. And she's put into prison, and she meets the head warden of the prison, Mama, played by Queen
Mama.
Latifah. Queen Latifah. This is the second movie in the span of like this new sequence of suddenly soundtracks where Queen Latifah appears. She was in Hairspray, and she kills this song. This song is called "When You're Good to Mama."
Got a little motto, always sees me through. When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. You might think I'm here to make your life a living hell.
And it's establishing who Mama is, what she is, and it's also intercut with her doing a burlesque stage show, which is not canon to the actual film itself. It's just a representation of what this song could be if it was on a stage, and it's intercut with the action on screen, which makes it so powerful. And damn, Queen Latifah kills this song. Vanessa, you know what I'm going to ask you? What are your thoughts on this one?
Okay, so this one, like you said, it does establish who Mama is and what she means to these girls in prison. And I love this song because she's like, you rub my back, I'll rub your back. Like, help me out, help a girl out. And she's just like, and her voice in this song, like Queen Latifah, she's got some pipes, and I love it. And I just can jazz to the song. I can listen to it like without even seeing the visuals for it. And I just really, really enjoy that strong tone that she brings to this song. And that sly thing that she has, which is her character. I mean, her character is very off the books. And this is what this song kind of establishes very well for that character.
And she's not necessarily a bad person, but she's very manipulative, and
Yes.
and she's really at first she's seen kind of like a bit of a bitch. Like, she doesn't allow Roxy to have heat because she's cold in her cell, but she gradually grows on you as the movie progresses. And you know, this song is a great introduction to her. And I will say a criticism of this soundtrack is we don't get Queen Latifah singing as much as I want. I think this is her only song. From memory, this is her only song, and I'm not as familiar with the Broadway show. I don't know if there was another number that Mama sang in the Broadway show. I don't
remember, but just this song is perfect. Though.
Yeah,
Like
it's perfect for Queen Latifah, and she kills it every time. Vanessa, I'm gonna go to you. What do you give this one?
I'm gonna go with Download.
Yeah, I'm going to actually agree with you with Download the soundtrack with this one. It's a good song. It's great with the visuals, and Queen Latifah is amazing. But the song itself gets a bit repetitive, and it's a little overlong in the movie. And I wish they gave Queen Latifah a little bit more to do. So
a little bit.
It's a fair criticism. Moving on from that, we get into probably what this movie is best known for: the Cell Block Tango.
If you'd have been there, if you'd have seen it, I bet you would have done the same.
You know what? This song is killer. It's pure jazz theater, and the cinematography is so iconic with the bars, the women on the bars, which is actually the layout of Suddenly Soundtracks Tonight, is the Cell Block Tango indeed. Vanessa, I want to hear you talk about this motherfucker.
Oh my God, this song is like one of my all-time favorite songs for any musical, to be honest. I absolutely adore this song. I can listen to the song all day, and just the way that they sing this song going between each character, just so like, I want to know more about these stories. Like, what happened with these ladies? I need to know more. And that's exactly what comes out in this song. I just like love the part, like the different stories that they go about, like how they killed their other half. And my favorite is like, I shot 2 warning shots into his head. I'm like, oh dang. It's so
Yes.
perfect. I love it.
Yeah, another great line is he walked into my knife 10 times.
Yeah, like all of them have just like this, like, you pop that gum one more time. And he did, like it's just like they have their own. I guess
Eccentricities.
some
Yeah.
guys can't hold their arsenic. So I love it.
It's pretty vivid what they did, and they really knew what they did, so it's not insanity. These are just people trying to make the excuses for themselves to try to get them through this sentence that they are in. And
And
so yeah.
oh, sorry, but
I'll go
like
for
I
it.
just
Yeah.
want to say, like, it's so perfect because like all of them are guilty of this except for the one girl when she's like saying it, and I can't remember what language it is, but she's saying in a different language. She's like, "Well,
Yeah.
did you do it?" And she's like, "Not guilty." So
Nope.
yeah,
The way she was singing, she's the one that we sympathize with during this song, and it again, it's something that does this movie justice. You cannot give, when you're reviewing Chicago, Cell Block Tango, anything less than rockin', and rockin'
oh
is
yes,
I think that's your answer as well, Vanessa.
it is. This is like
Yeah.
rockin' times 10.
Yeah, Rocket Times 10. What Cell Block Tango is one that I was really looking forward to actually seeing the context of the movie, because I've heard this song before.
Mhm.
I've never seen Chicago before. I did this for Suddenly Soundtracks. This song though I've heard many times before, and I'm glad that we got this. And it's a great, 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 great. It's a 10-minute sequence that doesn't feel long at all. All right,
Right.
so we're gonna go right into. We are introduced to Billy, the lawyer, the conniving lawyer who at first is trying to get public acclaim for Velma to get her out of prison, but it switches
Mhm.
over to Roxy once Amos gives him almost $5,000. It's 3,000, but I don't think he cared. It's money. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing. He's a compulsive liar and a manipulator, and he does his job. And we're introduced to him through this song, "All I Care About."
I don't care about expensive things, cashmere coats, diamond rings.
And it's again, each song is intercut with this stage show, and you're introduced to him. Actually, the first time you see him is through the stage show version of the movie,
Mhm.
and it intercuts with who this guy actually is and how conniving he is, and it establishes him perfectly. A good song in a musical establishes a character in the first act. The first act has to be character establishing songs, or songs that tell a story that can get you invested in the plot of the rest of the movie.
So, as much as it does establish who Billy is as a character
Hmm.
and what he is looking for when you go through this whole story with Velma and Roxy and Billy, but I don't really care for this song a whole lot.
Oh.
Like, it just never really did it for me. I would listen to it and I enjoy it within the movie, but I actually oh, I'm gonna skip. I skip it
Hmm.
when I like just listen to the soundtrack. So because it's just, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, we get it. You're a crooked lawyer kind of thing. So I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me for this
Actually,
song.
I'm interested to see what you think of the other Billy song later in the movie. I actually think this is the superior song. I think it establishes him really well, and I like the tune of it. It's very, very Sinatra-y, very like swingy, and I really, really dig
Mhm.
it. For me, it's download the soundtrack. It is fantastic.
Yep.
The differing of opinions with this one, but this musical goes by very, very quick. It's a very, very, the story just boom, 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 boom. It's
Mhm.
like a roller coaster. So we're gonna go right into actually my favorite song in the movie. Basically, this is where Billy and Roxy begin to manipulate the press, and through a
Yes.
song called "We Both Reached for the Gun."
Then what happened?
I met Amos and he stole my heart away, convinced me to elope one day.
The staging of the song, Roxy is acting like a puppet, like a ventriloquist dummy, and it's so well acted and performed. And it's intercut with the press, who's also on strings. It's very, very visually appealing to me, and the song itself is really catchy.
Yes.
Vanessa, what are your thoughts on this epic number?
I love just in the movie in general, like with the
Yeah.
puppet, like he's holding her, she's like, and I just love the way that he like portrays her voice and everything. And in the song, I love this song. It is so upbeat, it's so much fun. It's like it just established this fun like medium in between the movie, because this happens like in between the movie basically. So you kind of need like an upbeat song in the middle of a movie to kind of keep your audience there, and this is a perfect song to do it. And it's just like boom 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 boom, and I just it's so much, yeah, like it's so much fun.
It's really fun, and I like how she acts like a ventriloquist dummy through the entire thing, and how they sing it and how they perform it. The majority of the song is actually through the eyes of this stage version of the movie, and I prefer that to the. I love both sections of the movie, which one is the stage or one is the regular movie, but I love it when they go to the vaudeville stage, and it's fantastic. For me, I said it's my favorite song in the movie. It's rocking all the way. Vanessa, what do you give this one?
I give it a rockin' as well. This song stands on its own apart from the movie. Like you could just listen to this song and just be enjoying doing whatever, like cooking or cleaning or something. You just put the song on, which I do sometimes.
Indeed, and I cannot agree more with that. The next song, on the other hand, is sadly on the opposite side of the spectrum for me. This is a song called Roxy, where Roxy basically, she's gotten the fame, she's gotten the glory, she's gotten what she wants in life, and she's just reflecting on how successful she is because she is Roxy.
The name on everybody's lips is gonna be Roxy.
And you know what? The song lead up is super long, overtly long, and overtly boring to me. I feel like this is where the it kind of slugged for me a little bit, from in my opinion. And the song itself was redundant because everything this song hits, we both reached for the gun, hit in a funner fashion, and I feel like it just was a bit repetitive, and it wasn't necessary for me in the movie. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me, Vanessa, but what are your thoughts?
I liked it because it's like a point of her point of view solely, like of what she is going through and what she is doing, whereas like the other one was like both of them at the same time basically. So I enjoy what she is getting out of this, and throughout the whole time, and she's just conniving as much as he is.
Yes, she is.
And so and then, but I do get where it's like slower, so it kind of slows down the pace a little bit, where you had the other song when it was like quick and upbeat. So then coming down to a slow song, it kind of gives it like a screeching halt a little bit. But other than that, I do enjoy the song.
Okay, so we're on two separate spectrums. It's fine. That's completely okay. The thing is with me, it's not just that it's slow but repetitive, and I feel like it was redundant. That's what I was looking for, redundant for me. And I would suggest to skip this one. This one I don't think I'm gonna come back to. But Vanessa, what do you give it?
See, this might be a surprise. Like, as much as I do enjoy this song, I would say that this song is a skip. You could skip this song. Yeah, because it's slower, and there's other songs that do the same thing essentially. I guess better than the other songs.
Okay, yeah. So your skip it is less serious than my skip it, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I see that. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. That one is
like mine is like you can listen to it, but if it's not your thing, then like you can skip halfway through the song.
Yeah. So
I guess if that's a thing.
Oh, let's just add that as another thing. No, but you know, we're just gonna call it the Roxy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
there we go.
There we go. Indeed. But moving on from that is actually Velma. As we said, Billy was originally her lawyer, and then once Roxy got successful, he kind of transitioned to her, and he kind of took the money Velma gave him, and Velma's seeing all the success Roxy's getting, and she wants a piece of it. She wants Roxy to join her, and maybe both of them together can get out together as a team. Problem is, earlier in the film, Roxy went to Velma and she refused, and Karma bit Velma in the ass. But
Yep.
before the Karma bites Velma in the ass, she goes through this song called I Can't Do It Alone," which it's
Okay.
it's there. It's in the movie. It's there. I mean, it's there.
First I'd.
Then she.
I think we might have the same inkling for this song because yeah. Like I mean, be desperate, the song, which of course is like how it's supposed to be portrayed, because she is desperate, she wants this fame and stuff, but I feel like it's kind of desperate for the movie too, and it just doesn't do anything for me for this song. It's a definite big skip when I listen to the music and the soundtrack. So I don't know. I don't really care. Like, she's just talking about like, this is what me and my sister did. And I was like, I don't really care what you and your sister did. So
it's just there. Yeah. I mean, that's all. I mean, it's not redundant. It doesn't make me feel like I'm losing brain cells, but it's just like, come on. I don't really think we need this one either. These are now two back-to-back songs. I too will skip. This is probably the weakest portion of the movie. Because we're about to get into something really, really good and classic right here. Okay. So remember back when I was talking about how I didn't expect John C. Reilly to be in this movie? On top of that, I didn't know he was the guy that sang Mr. Cellophane.
Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane.
I love this song because John C. Reilly like takes this song and makes it exactly what it is, cellophane, you know, and he's perfect for this song because in this movie, the way that he portrays his character is very much like Sly, like, I don't like, who are you again? And when he does this song, I just love the song and the way that he sings the song. It was very shocking if I was like, John C. Reilly's gonna sing this song. But when he does, you feel for him because you feel so bad for him. You're like, no, I see you. Please come. And the way that he sings this song is like perfect for his character.
I couldn't agree more. I didn't expect him to have that good of a voice, and he really sings the key. He sings it right, and the way it's shot and what he's wearing on that stage in the vaudeville version of the movie is perfection. And you could see the emotion in his face, and you feel bad for Amos.
Yes.
And I think that's another weakness of this movie is that he never really got a good payoff with this movie. He really didn't. And you feel bad for him the entire time. And it's never paid off. I wish they could have given him some sort of better, happier ending. But Mr. Cellophane for me is a rockin'. We went from 2 skips in a row to rockin'. This one is a tasty treat. Vanessa, what do you give this?
For me, I would say download the soundtrack.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a solid song. You should listen to this whenever you can. You've heard it before if you're in a theater troupe and somebody auditions with it. It's a commodity, and there's a reason. All right. So remember when I said all I care about was the better of the 2 Billy songs? This is the weaker of the 2 Billy songs because I don't count the other number that we're gonna get to. This one is Razzle Dazzle, which is this is the courtroom scene.
Give 'em the old hocus pocus, bead and feather 'em.
The Razzle Dazzle is okay. It has a bit of a catchy hook, but I don't find myself seeing anything other than the hook there, and it just feels a bit hollow as a song for me. Vanessa, do you disagree?
I don't, actually. I completely agree with you.
Okay.
This song is my least favorite of all the songs on this soundtrack. It just, again, I don't know, just something that Billy Just the way that this song is portrayed, it's just I don't care about this song at all.
I don't think there needed to be a song here, actually. And if there was,
Yeah.
have it be less hollow, have it actually mean something musically that you can grasp. It just, I don't know.
I think that it works for the movie when you're watching the movie and everything, but when you want to listen to just the soundtrack itself, and this is probably a song that I would be a reason to go seek out at all. Like it just not one I would care for at all to seek out when I want to listen to Chicago.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. So Vanessa, what do you give this?
Burn the master tape.
Holy shit, that's amazing. First burn the master tape in the recording sessions we've ever gotten. For me, it's obviously skip it. This was not. This is tough because this musical is amazing, but there are three songs here. There's another one that I would say if you're listening to the soundtrack, you can just bypass because you got to get to the good meat of the stuff.
And it's Richard Gere, and I like him, but. I just
Gere's voice is amazing, and but what you can have Bono sing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," it'll sound amazing, but it's still "Mary Had a Little Lamb." Yeah, and there's just no substance. It's like eating a chocolate bar with a can of soda. There's the sweets there, but there's no substance.
Because I love his character Billy. Like for him to play that,
he's fantastic. Yeah, Billy has a character. It sounds like we're knocking Billy. We aren't. His songs, on the other hand, leave a lot to be desired. And again,
which is a shame.
Yeah, this next song isn't even a song. It's well edited and it's well performed, and it's on the soundtrack as a tap song. Oh wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, keep going because I love this song, the tap.
Order! Miss Kelly, do you know the meaning of the word perjury?
Yes,
the tap is amazing to watch. It's very well. So let's put this into context. We're jumping the gun. I jumped the gun. Sorry about that. But look, but look. So Mama finds this diary at the jail cell, and she gives it to Velma, and Velma marches into the courtroom and makes the diary a key piece of evidence. And Billy decides to literally tap his way out of this situation that they're in, because they're this close to winning it, and they have this monkey wrench here. But he basically taps his way into explaining what this diary is and how it has no merit to the actual trial itself, in a geniusly edited sequence. Vanessa, go for it. What do you think of it?
Oh my gosh. I love this tapping scene in the movie, like bar none. The way that they shot this part, especially when he's tap dancing, reminds me a little bit of when the John Williams score for Jaws comes, when Jaws is when he's about to come and attack somebody, like that do. That's the way that tapping scene got me, because he starts off slow and then he gets into it as the story progresses in the courtroom, and then he gets all into it at the end, and then it stops, and then it's like done, and you're just like and it just kept me on my toes the whole time when I was watching it.
Yeah, it actually, that's the feeling I got too, and it was fantastically edited. The only downside is when you listen to it on the soundtrack, you lose all of that epicness, of the epicness, and it's so painful, because that brings down my rating a lot, and it sucks, because if you're watching this through the movie, never skip this, and I would never actually say skip this. Don't skip it ever. But if you're listening to it on the soundtrack, there's not a lot of merit to that on the actual soundtrack itself. So I have to give this a one-time listen, not because of the movie itself. The movie itself, don't ever skip this scene. It's one of the best scenes in the movie. On the soundtrack, though, I listen to it, but I would suggest once, and you'd be good. Vanessa, what do you rate this?
I agree. I'll get one-time listen.
Yeah.
And
It,
then you don't have to listen to it on the soundtrack. But just
yeah.
like watch it on the movie. It's so good.
It is. That's where this show comes to bat, because you have to judge it based on the soundtrack. And if you have a sequence like that, that's amazing. But you only hear it on the soundtrack, it loses that the visuals that make it work so well. And it is what it is. But don't you dare skip that. Don't ever skip that. That's amazing. Don't get us wrong. Don't get what's wrong with that one. Okay, so we are into the home stretch of this film. Velma gets acquitted, so does Roxy, and so Roxy, after life after jail isn't good for her. She's miserable, and she sings this song Nowadays.
There's men everywhere, jazz everywhere, booze everywhere, life.
Nowadays, as a song, actually lets you feel for once what Roxy is feeling, and I think it's my favorite Roxy song in the entire piece, because it just gives her emotion which she was lacking throughout the entire film, which is a criticism I have with the character. Um, Vanessa, what do you think of Nowadays?
I liked it as a part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like, when we're gonna get to it later, I know,
Yeah.
but when the reprisal of the song Nowadays, later when she does it with Velma, I enjoyed more. So this song is kind of like, okay, I'll listen to it and I'll watch it as far as the song, and it does give a little bit of her character more emotion, like you said, which is really good. But other than that, I just it just is there for me.
I kind of I get what you say. It's there, and it's there because it feels that way because throughout the entire film you don't really necessarily get this feeling from her. It's kind
Right.
of a drastic change from how she was throughout the most of the film, and it is very jarring. But I think it needed that. But you know what? The reprise, as you're saying, we're going to get to in a second. This acts as more of a prelude to that, and as a prelude, I think it works well. And I would say download it. For me, I think the emotion is there, the vocals are there, and it works perfectly in the film. Vanessa, what do you give it?
I give it a one-time listen.
Okay, yeah, I figured you would go in that route with how when you were describing it, and I
Yeah.
completely understand. As she alluded to, okay, so after Nowadays, Velma and Roxy meet, and they form finally the successful Murder Women stage show that they wanted to do, and it ends happy. They're both successful. Not that we were ever rooting for them to be successful in the first place, but they are successful, and it ends with a standing ovation through a reprise of Nowadays into a song that's really, really catchy called Hot Honey Rag, which is a ragtime number right after Nowadays. Back in the 20s, ragtime was huge. And I was waiting for ragtime to appear in this soundtrack somewhere, and it finally did at the end, and it was amazing.
Yep.
Vanessa, what are your thoughts on what I'll call it the finale? The finale.
Yes. So just like when they team up, it's perfect because you got two strong women who have been strong this whole time and been battling it out between each other in the movie. And with the songs that they sing, they finally come together to make this one grand gesture at the end, and it's perfect, and it just works well, and it's a big bang, and that's what you need. You need a big bang to go out of from a movie like this, and this song is perfect, and I could dance to it all day.
Indeed.
I love it.
I love ragtime, and I love the instrumentation in this song. And as I said at the beginning, and I keep this as my rule of thumb, if a movie musical opens well and it ends well, it at least does a job, and it does it good. Because you need that for the audience. You need a good opening and you need a good closing. And if the opening and closing does its job, to me it gets nothing but a rockin'. Rockin', just because you need to send your audience off successfully. That's the problem I have with with musicals like La La Land, or stuff that doesn't have a big ending number that you actually need. But you know, this had it, and it's amazing, and I have no regrets giving it a rock. And Vanessa, what do you give it?
I give it a rockin'.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect finale for this song, and I just love the way, like in the movie too, just like even though they work together, they still are competing between each other, and it's perfect.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I couldn't agree with that better. But the soundtrack isn't necessarily over. After the finale song, we're graded to an after credit scene. I mean, not an after credit scene, a credit song, which a lot of musicals do. They record a song that was originally in the Broadway show that they couldn't fit in the actual film in the credit sequence. In this movie, we got a song called "I Move On."
When I can't find a single star to hang my wish upon, I just move on.
And you know what? I would move on to in the soundtrack. This one does nothing for me. It feels the same as a song as Roxy. It just doesn't have any kind of uniqueness to it. It works as a credit song, but it comes off as very repetitive musically if you would have had it in the film. And it probably would have been my least favorite if it was in the film. And it's almost at the bottom here, but I don't know if you agree with me, Vanessa. You can tell me otherwise.
I totally agree because yeah, I agree that it's a perfect for the ending, like when the credits are rolling and you need a song there to kind of usher the people out of the theater and stuff like that. It's the perfect song for that, but it just I wouldn't see it fitting in the movie the way that they had toned the movie, and they put it right where it should be in the end.
At least they recorded it for the Broadway fans. At least they recorded it for the Broadway fans. Again,
it's perfect probably on Broadway, but in the movie, it's for the movie. Yeah. It doesn't seem fitting.
Yeah, we run into that problem a lot here on Suddenly Soundtracks. When you go through a musical that's based on a Broadway show and things are cut, a film is different than stage, and some things that translate well on stage do not translate on film. This song, I don't know the context of it, but you know, just judging it from the actual movie soundtrack itself, I'm giving it a skip it. Vanessa, what do you give it?
I would actually give it a one-time listen.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. Again, it might seem like I put a lot of skip its on here, but and I guess that is
we're talking
true.
about the soundtrack.
It's the soundtrack, and that's important.
Yeah.
That's also important for when you actually watch our very controversial Nightmare Before Christmas episode.
Yes.
Just ask Dan and Aaliyah. The movie is a monster. The soundtrack is another monster, and you need to be able to have a good soundtrack. And a good movie can have a mediocre soundtrack and still be a good movie. All right, Vanessa, this is the final part of the show of Suddenly Soundtracks, where we go through the songs. This is pretty simplistic. We go through the songs and we rank them from what we think is the worst to what we think is the best. There are 14 tracks here, Vanessa. I'm going to start with you. What is your ranking?
Worst is Razzle Dazzle, and then I Can't Do It Alone, and then Nowadays, and then All I Care About, Honey, Funny Honey, Roxy, I Move On, The Tap Dance, Nowadays, and then Hot Honey Rag and then We Both Reach for the Gun, Mr. Cellophane, All That Jazz, and then my favorite song of the whole thing is Cell Block Tango.
This is my list from worst to best. At the worst, as I said, was Roxy, then Razzle Dazzle, then I Can't Do It Alone, then I Move On, and then The Tap Dance. But do note that I love the actual thing in the film. It's this low because on the soundtrack itself, it's not that memorable. It loses its luster. Then Nowadays, then All I Care About, then Funny Honey, All That Jazz, then the reprise of Nowadays and Hot Honey Rag, and then my favorites, When You're Good to Mama by Queen Latifah, the classic Mr. Cellophane, the fantastically shot "We Both Reached for the Gun," and I'm with Vanessa right here. You can't go anywhere but Cell Block Tango as my #1 favorite as well.
Our final verdict for Chicago is that we recommend you download this soundtrack.
Alright guys, that does it for this epic episode of Suddenly Soundtrack. Chicago is a musical that I know Vanessa's wanted to talk about. I wanted to actually explore because I've heard so much good things and I have no regrets whatsoever. Before we close out, Vanessa, what are your final thoughts on Chicago?
I love it. I will watch it anytime that it's on Netflix, and I'll watch it. It's actually on Hulu right now, so if you have Hulu, go watch it on there. It's great. Just love listening and dancing to the music, and I hope that one day I can have like a Chicago party and we can all dress up as flappers and whatnot and be all jazzy.
Beautiful, Vanessa, beautiful. I completely agree. Chicago was a great experience, and thank you, Vanessa, for actually recommending this because I actually have I will be listening to this in the future. This musical was well shot, well executed. Maybe some of the songs I felt you could skip on the soundtrack, but artistically, this movie was made with golden gloves. It was fantastic. So,
It did win Best Picture. So
it did win Best Picture, and you know what? It's an award winner, and it's worth every award that it has gotten. So, Vanessa, where can the good people find you online?
They can find me at Late to the Party on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all that good social media. I think officially Late to the Party's Instagram, and then Late to the Party on Twitter. I do have a personal account on Twitter too called So Vanessary, as well as Instagram. So there's that too.
That's fantastic. Be sure to check out next week's episode with special guest Whitney Seibold as we go through his favorite musical of all time. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum. I am super excited to show you guys this episode. And guys, of course, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClark8788. Those numbers mean nothing. You can find me every Wednesday hosting this show, dissecting musicals song by song. You can also find me on the weekends hosting family game night where like 1 or 2 people play a game while a crew of people just hang out and bullshit in a Skype chat. It's amazing and it's fun. You can also find me on YouTube at No Man's Land Entertainment. But anyway, guys, take care and keep rocking.